In the Parmanand Katara versus Union of India case, the Supreme Court held in the public interest litigation filed by a human rights activities fighting for general public interest that it is a paramount obligation of every member of the medical profession to give medical aid to every injured citizen as soon as possible without wanting any procedural formalities. The lawmaking has assumed new dimensions through the judicial activism of the courts. The judiciary has adopted a healthy trend of interpreting law in social context. Judicial activism describes judicial rulings suspected of being on personal or political considerations rather than existing law. The question of judicial activism is closely related to constitutional interpretation, statutory constructions, and separation of powers. The Indian judiciary, being a wing of the state, has thus played a more activist role than its US counterpart in seeking to transform Indian society into a modern one by enforcing modern principles and ideas in the Constitution through court verdicts. Article 21 of the Constitution has been called up frequently in the Supreme Court. Judgments upon this article suggest the trends of judicial activism. In the A.K. Gopalan versus Madras case, the Supreme Court rejected the argument that to deprive a person of his life or liberty, not only the procedure prescribed by law for doing so must be fair, but reasonable and just. However, subsequently in Maneka Gandhi versus Union of India case, this requirement of substantive due process was introduced into Article 21 by judicial interpretation. Thus, the due process clause, which was avoided by the constitution makers, was introduced by the judicial activism of the Supreme Court. In subsequent decisions, the Supreme Court has upheld death sentences in cases such as Bhagwan Das versus State of Delhi case, which involved the honor killing of a man and woman for marrying outside their caste.